Is this illegal according to American election rules? No, it's not. Foreign nationals are allowed to serve as campaign volunteers, that is if they're not compensated by any party or group, and this is not the first time it has happened. Labor activists have long campaigned in U.S. elections also. They're in their personal capacity. The party does not send them, so technically it is not against the law, but Donald Trump is not convinced. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is desperate to play down the route, but as the election day draws closer, controversies like this will only grow bigger. Thanks for watching this video.
Meanwhile, according to another poll by Wall Street Journal, Donald Trump has opened a narrow lead over his Democratic rival Kamala Harris in the U.S. presidential race. The national survey, published on Wednesday, showed the Republican presidential candidate leading Harris 47% to 45%. The recent survey shows views towards Harris have turned more negative. Since August, voters now have unfavorable view towards her by 8 percentage points. Voters also gave Harris her worst job rating as vice president, with 42% approving and 54% disapproving of her performance. On the other hand, voters recall Trump's time as president more positively, with 52% approving and 48% disapproving of his performance in office. Trump has also extended his lead as the best candidate on handling the economy and illegal immigration. He also led on the candidate with right experience for the job. Harris, on the other hand, was still viewed as the best candidate to handle the issue of immigration. Meanwhile, residents of Phoenix took part in early voting at the Arizona State University campus. Arizona is among a handful of swing states that controls 11 electoral votes.
I voted for Trump because I think Trump has the best ideas within helping the community and the United States, and helping with tax cuts, and yeah, I don't know, I just really like Trump.
So I did vote for Kamala, a lot of reasons personally that I just don't agree with Trump, and I do, as I am a colored person, so I am in support court of reproductive rights. That's a big thing for me. There's a lot of personal things that I shouldn't really say on camera, but yeah, I a Democrat, so I voted for Kamala.
For more on this, we are now being joined by Adele Nazarin, Senior Media Fellow at the Gold Institute for International Strategy from Washington, D.C. Adele is the former president gaining ground on Kamala Harris.
Oh, he definitely is. I'm great to be on with you again. He's as of mid-October, it's so close to the down to the wire. He has gained, ground in several key battleground swing states, right? You have Michigan, leading Harris by 3 points. You have in Florida and Arizona, which you just mentioned, which has increased obviously to 6 points versus 2, respectively for Harris there. But the thing here is that Harris also still holds in row leave in other crucial states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Nevada, but they are within the margin of error, right? And I remember whenever I was in 2016 campaigning, covering the Bernie Sanders campaign, then Hillary Clinton, and the Pence-Trump campaign, and I remember just the efforts that Trump was making in these key battleground states, whereas Hillary Clinton wasn't taking the advice of Bill, and she wasn't going into these states, and you could just see the massive difference that it made. I know Kamala is now doing the same thing. She's trying to take on the same tactic, but I think she's actually done herself more injustice with her recent TV interviews, which is why they've been trying to keep her out of the media spotlight. I think it's hurt her more than helped her, honestly, so I think it's very, very close, but Trump definitely is gaining momentum.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see it. It appears that it's the issue of abortion that is the only issue that she's leading with, and that's with young women only. Moving on, a Yale poll says that a quarter of Americans believe that there is a possibility of civil war. How do you see such sentiment less than 2 weeks into the polling days?
Okay, civil war, of course. The country has never been more divided than in it is currently, and I think that the notion that civil war would take place, to be frank, yeah, it's a possibility, of course. The reasons, though, would be different under each administration. I think under Trump, if he were to win, I think honestly the likelihood of a civil war would be less likely, but I do think that if it were to occur, it would come from the far left, progressive anarchist kind of faction, the more violent Antifa, let's say, associated affiliates, which we've seen unfortunately demonstrating these acts of self-demolition, in the nation's capital throughout the country. I think that's the more likely origin of a civil war from if Trump wins. If Kamala Harris wins, though, I think that it would be less violence from the right, to be honest with you. I think we've seen the media, propagandize and kind of inflate right-wing kind of, unrest and violence, which we saw in the Capitol Hill incident as well. But I do have to say that I think a civil war might be more likely under a Kamala Harris presidency, because it's more likely that the wars will continue, whereas under a Trump presidency, wars would be ended. He would do everything to finish the wars that the world is currently engaged in, the U.S. is currently engaged in, and I think that under a Harris administration it would be a continuation of President Biden's policies, which includes a lot of neocon stances, and I think that in fact, the wars would continue and probably even increase, and I think that's probably the reason why there may be civil war. There may be a scenario like in Vietnam, honestly, where, God forbid, they would reinstate a draft, and I think that's kind of the scenario where I think a civil war would occur under a Kamala Harris presidency. But I don't think that if Trump were to lose, there would necessarily be violence and civil unrest, although I definitely think it's really close this time, and the likelihood of him, winning or losing by a big margin is very, very unlikely. So let's just hope that everyone can, maintain calm and peace no matter what happens. Thanks for watching this video.